Hello and welcome to a new episode of Readings That Heal with me, Marissa of Marissa Moments. This is where you will be triggered into your awakening and then your connection. Now, when I say connection, sure, we're talking divine connections external to yourself, but we're mainly talking about connection back to source, connection back to self, recognizing the divinity within, recognizing your intuitive guidance system, recognizing the power that you always held the entire time that may have been triggered, traumatized, or programmed out of you. So we are getting right back to that place in space. But however, this podcast does come with a warning. Do understand that this is about divine accountability and being able to look at yourself in the mirror, doing the shadow work, taking accountability, like I said, and then moving on from there as it resonates. So if this does not sound like some place that you are ready to visit, then I will give you a moment to exit the room with love. Okay, friends. So the word for today is fear, right? So true story per usual. So I started to record these podcasts, right? This one included. And I had the download to change the entire trajectory, format, all of those things, right? Now, mind you, I always pre-record. So I have some already locked and loaded, ready to go, scheduled out, all those things, right? Same thing with videos, etc. Whatever channel messages I receive, I usually pre-recorded and then I schedule it out. So that way I don't flood you or overwhelm you with all of these messages, right? Now, so when it comes to this podcast, right, I have scheduled shows, right? And one of my fears is that I don't want to delete the ones that I have scheduled out, even though these recordings that I'm doing right now spark so much more passion and inspiration and joy within me. And I can't wait for you to receive it. I can't wait for you to get this good word, right? But at the same time, I know Spirit is saying practice patience, practice patience. Now, that was one of the earlier podcasts. Go back and look up patience, right? But what I'm receiving in this moment is that it's also based in fear, right? Because what if I don't have enough information? What if I stop receiving downloads? I get rid of all those old episodes and then look at me. I ain't got nothing on to record, nothing. Meanwhile, Spirit is giving me so many downloads right now. Now, this is kind of like a humble brag. So many downloads that I'm writing it down on a note card, trying to play catch up with all of the downloads that I have in my heart to share with you. Right? Because it might be guidance for me, but it's also guidance for you because it's about the collective at this point. Now, getting back to the point though, let's talk about fear, right? What am I afraid of? What are you afraid of? Right? Same thing goes with my videos. I feel like my voice just changed. Same thing goes with my videos, right? On the Tickety Talk. I have so many messages saved in my drafts. Now, true story, I often have to do draft dumps. That's what I call it, a draft dump, because I have so many saved draft videos that TikTok won't even let me do any more recording. Like even my phone will be like, listen, you out of space, homie. You got to get rid of something. And I'm like, well, if I get rid of it, though, if I post it or if I get rid of it, then what's going to happen next? What if I run out of content? What if I run out of downloads or good words or any of these things, right? And Spirit's like, my child, have you run out yet? And I'm still like, but what about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? And that is so fear-based, right? Even the sound, the cadence of my voice when I say that, what about, I start sounding a little bit like Mickey Mouse. No shade to Mickey, because that fear is what's taken over. That fear is what's basically writing the script of my tomorrows, because I don't really have true faith within myself and maybe even within Spirit or God to say that I'm not going to run out, right? I'm not going to run out. Now, let's give another illustration of fear, right? When it comes to, okay, so one of my daughters, so I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, you know what? We got to go through our clothes. If it no longer fits, if it's, something wrong with the clothes or it no longer aligns with where you are, maybe fashionably or whatever it is, then let's purge so that way we can give it to someone else and make space to bring in new things, right? Now, one of my daughters takes that notion and she runs with it. I mean, one time I told her to do that and she darn near cleared her closet. And I wasn't paying attention, right? So I had already put stuff in the donation bags, and I'm like, doo, 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 I'm whistling while I work, and like, yeah, this is great, man. I have so many donations to give. This is going to be so great for other people to be able to receive it and use the things that maybe we no longer use, right? And then I went to her closet and I looked and I said, oh my God. Oh my God, where are your clothes? And she said, I donated them. And you know what happened? I got fearful. I was like, well, how are we going to replace it? What's going to happen now? Girl, you ain't got no clothes. You over here, you're about to live like Superman with one outfit in rotation because you ain't got nothing. And then you want to know what happened? We went shopping. Now, did we go to, I always refer to Neiman Marcus. I don't even know why, but that's just the first store that comes to mind. We didn't go there. We went to the thrift store because, as you may know already, I love to thrift. I don't believe in necessarily going to get brand new clothes at brand new places. And I definitely don't necessarily support the notion of these luxury brands necessarily, right? I mean, that's easily said while I don't have any, right? We'll see when I get there, right? But the reason I'm giving that illustration is because she was holding on to faith while I was holding on to fear, right? She knew that we were going to come through for her. She knew that we weren't going to let her be out here any type of way in the same outfit day in, day out. Because first and foremost, I ain't even got the energy to wash clothes like that, right? And if you know, like I know, teenagers need their clothes washed. We can't just recycle. We just can't rewear them over and over, right? I mean, we could, but I don't know about that, right? And the reason I'm, again, giving that illustration is because we're focusing on fear. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid to let go? That is really the message behind this podcast right here, behind this notion, behind everything that I'm saying. What are you afraid to let go of? So in my earlier illustration, I'm talking about draft dumping, right? Getting rid of episodes that I previously recorded and being in fear that I won't be able to supply and keep up with the demand, right? And in this current illustration, I'm talking about clothing, right? When we give away all of our stuff and now what are we going to have to replace it with? That's fear. So what are you afraid to let go of? Because you're afraid quietly, and you're not holding on to your faith that it will be replaced. Maybe you're sitting in a relationship that you know you should have left 2 years ago. That's a very specific number. So if it's for you, it's for you. Maybe you should have left it a long time ago and you knew, you're at the point where you sit down on the couch together and you look at each other and you curl your lip because, I can't believe you're still here, right? But you're living in a state of fear because what if I don't find anybody else? What if this is as good as it gets? Have you seen that imagery? There's a image or a meme that is out there that I saw where a little girl is holding on to a small stuffed teddy bear, right? And meanwhile, there's the visualization of Jesus, the how it's supposed to be, and Jesus has this really large teddy bear hidden behind his back, right? And he has one hand out to the girl asking for her to give up that small teddy bear. Meanwhile, he has the larger one hidden behind his back. But guess what? She can't receive the larger one until she gives up the smaller one. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? We often operate through fear because what if? But then let me tell you, just from my own pure life example existence, every single time I've been willing to go outside of my comfort zone and sacrifice and give up things that I knew were no longer in alignment with my spirit and my trajectory and my ascension, every single time I was rewarded with something else in its stead. Now, it might not have been identical to the thing that I gave up. It may not have been that larger version of the teddy bear, proverbially speaking, but it was something, right? God will never leave you in a state of lack, but you have to broaden your horizons and be able to look beyond the surface. You keep staying where you feel like you no longer want to be, and all you do is complain about it as opposed to letting it go and leaving space and opportunity for growth and expansion, right? We're talking fear. Fear. What are you afraid of letting go of? Now, of course, we have to use common sense in these situations and scenarios. I'm not saying that you need to quit your job today and then know that you're going to receive something else tomorrow. I mean, sometimes in those circumstances, now this is a true story. I can recall the last time I ended up working an actual job, right? An actual in office environment job. I was let go. Now I feel my ego wants to clarify that I wasn't fired. I was let go, right? I was laid off because the school was closing that I worked at the time, right? And I was like, oh my God. But meanwhile, the whole time leading up to it, I was complaining because I didn't even like that job. I didn't even like it, right? I would love to complain about it. I called it never rest, right? Now that's a little tip and insight into what the actual name of the school was, right? Never rest. I said people came in there with hope and left with cynicism. That's it. That was the exact stance that I took. And I refused to leave though. But then you want to know what happened? God forced me out. God said, give her papers, give her what is it, that severance pay, and send her on her way. And that was the last time I worked. Now I'm in a position and place of blessings. Now, did I struggle in between? Did my husband and I struggle in between? Yeah, we did. There were times when neither one of us had employment and we were looking into all the different programs. That's why I know all about them. We had to lean on our faith and we had to lean on the kindness of others in order to continue to ascend, right? We were forced beyond our fear in those scenarios. Now, the example that I was giving earlier is that you work in that position. I'm not saying that you need to quit it, but what I am saying, it move beyond your fears. So instead of just sitting there and complaining about it, start looking for a new place of employment. Or what's more, maybe it's been put on your heart that you need to be an entrepreneur and open your own business, right? Maybe the reason why you're in that surroundings is not to complain, it's to absorb the information and the skills that it's teaching you so that way you can apply it to your actual business when you start it. But meanwhile, we're operating through fear because what if we don't get any clients? What if we don't get any customers, right? Well, just know, trust, and believe that when it's your time, and God is going to force you if you don't decide to do it on your own. And trust and believe from personal experience, it is much easier to live in obedience than it is to operate through fear and be forced. Now, this isn't to plant fear in your heart, but this is to remind you and to illustrate that no matter what it is, there is always something else that can take its place, right? And I'm not saying that you are replaceable, but in that situation and scenario, those circumstances are replaceable. And not only that, you have the potential to upgrade, but you have to sit in your faith and not your fear. But I've rambled on and on about this. So hopefully you are getting this message down in your spirit, into your heart, into your soul, and you're allowing this opportunity in this moment to allow you to reflect on where you might be sitting in fear. And where on the opposite side of it, where you have opportunity, right? Because what lies on the other side of fear is opportunity. But you have to be able to move beyond your fear into faith and into opportunity to get there. So that's it. And as always, I know this message resonates, so that means it is for you. Take the portions that resonate, leave everything else. Now, if this message reminds you of someone else, be sure to share it. We are no longer gatekeeping our healing or our healing sources, right? The more that we can do for ourselves, the more that we can do for one another, the sooner the world begins to shift, right? Now, so be sure to tune in every single Monday, new episodes, 5:55 a.m. Central Standard Time, United States time, and check the archives for previous messages because you will see yourself and you will be able to apply it to your life and on your journey towards healing and ascension. Aside from that, be sure to look me up on all of social media. I am literally everywhere. But when you look me up, just remember it is Marissa Moments, and that is Marissa with one S because, as I always like to say, there is only one me. Because you know what? The only thing better than walking the spiritual healing path is to walk it with a friend. So find me and friend me, and let's walk together. So that's it. I thank you for listening. I wish you the best day ever. And until next time, you know the vibes. Peace and happy healing.